Europe, yes, sir. No Nation, what it do? Let's get in here, man. Bring it in. Y'all already know I'm real with a sports opinion. Y'all excuse my wrinkled Selena shirt, but I had to represent for Selena today. But bring it in. Fellas, put a smile on your face. Because at Florida State, if we're going to do it then, we do it big then. It's Clemson week, baby. It's Clemson week. We're going to get into Clemson. We're going to get into their offense, some strengths and weaknesses, some key players. Same with the defense. We're going to give you 3 keys for a Clemson win, 3 keys for a FSU win. We're going to give you 2 key matchups I'm looking forward to. And we also going to give you that score prediction at the end of the video. So without further ado, let's break down Clemson, y'all. Clemson comes in this game 4-3. They lost to Georgia 10-3, beat South Carolina State 49-3, beat Georgia Tech 14-8, lost to NC State 27-21, beat Boston College 19-13, beat Syracuse 17-14, and lost to Pitt 27-17. Like I said, they are 4-3 on the year. And now let's get into some team stats. We'll just compare some team stats between the two. Points per game, Florida State is averaging 31.3 points per game. Clemson is averaging 20 points per game. Points allowed per game, Florida State is allowing 26.4 points per game. Clemson's defense, which is probably the second defense in the nation, is allowing only 14.6 points per game. Total yards, Florida State is averaging 413.4 total yards per game on offense, with 183.1 of that coming in the passing game and 230.3 of that coming in the running game. For Clemson, they're averaging 321.3 yards a game, with 176 of that coming in the passing game and 145 yards coming in the rushing game. As far as yards allowed, Florida State is allowing 388 yards per game, with 230 of that coming in the pass and 158 of that coming in the run. Clemson is giving up 336 yards per game, with 216 of that coming in the pass and 120 of that coming in the run. So without further ado, y'all, let's jump into Clemson's offense. Some strengths of Clemson's offense is the running game. Running game has been a strength. It's not been something that it ain't been something that's that how it's been in the past years in Clemson, but it has been a strength relative to the offense this year. So if we were thinking relative to the offense's past, it wouldn't have lived up to the billing. But relative to this offense this year, the running game is this offense's strength. And as for weaknesses, injuries and everything else has been a weakness on this Clemson offense. These guys are without, I think, 3 linemen, a tight end. Their starting running back was just listed out. I know they have 2 or 3 receivers that are out right now that they're trying to get back for this game this week. But yeah, man, everything else on this offense, man, I mean, these guys are barely putting up 20 points a game. DJ Uiagalelei cannot seem to get it going. As far as conversions, he's only thrown 4 touchdown passes to 5 interceptions on the year. And they did pull him for a little while last week in the loss against Pitt for the backup quarterback. But yeah, man, everything else is a weakness. Like I said, the running game is probably the only strength of this offense, and that's only because the way this offense, how poorly this offense has performed this year, or it wouldn't even be a strength. And like I said, the weakness is everything else for this Clemson offense. Let's get into some key players. For the Clemson offense, right? At quarterback, we got DJ Uiagalelei. DJ is 109 for 190. He's 109 out of 199 for 1,102 yards. He has a 54.8% completion percentage, but he's only averaging 5.5 yards a pass. So they're not throwing the ball down the field. He only has 4 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, and he's been sacked 13 times this year. 13 times. So the offensive line, we already know with the injuries they have, they've been imploding. Another key player we have is Taysun. I'm not going to even the backup quarterback that they pulled DJ Uiagalelei for, that they haven't named a real starter yet so far this week. So I'm going to throw him on this key player list just because he may be the starting quarterback when things kick off at 3:30 in Death Valley. And he has 10 completions for 17 yards, for 10 out of 17 for 98 yards, but he's only averaging 5.8 yards a completion as well for 1 touchdown and 1 interception, no sacks. DJ Uiagalelei is the third leading rusher on his team with 67 attempts for 236 yards and 3 touchdowns. And Taysom has 4 attempts for 20 yards. Yeah, 4 attempts for 20 yards. Given the quarterback situation, DJ Uiagalelei has not produced the way they wanted them to this year, so that's why they pulled him last week, especially he struggled last week against Pitt. But moving on to running back, Kobe Pace, their leading rusher, is going to be out for the game Saturday against FSU, so Will Shipley will probably get the bulk of the carries. Will Shipley has 54 carries for 263 yards and 5 touchdowns this year. Will is also a threat out of the backfield. He has 5 receptions for 21 yards as well. Wide receiver, they're looking to get Joseph Ngata back this week. He is their big play threat. He's the leading receiver with 18 receptions for 352 yards and a touchdown. And they did get Justin Ross back last week, who has been in and out of injuries and stuff like that, but he's another key player. He's the leader in receptions with 33 for 341 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tight end Davis Allen as well with 15 receptions and 101 yards is another key player on this offense. Overall, Clemson's offense isn't as dominant as the Clemson offenses of past have been, and they have been actually very dormant when it comes to facing competition and guys who have the talent level that can, if not match, at least play up to Clemson's level. Let's move on to the defense. The defense is probably going to be the strength of this entire team. Some strengths on the defense is going to be the run defense and their front 7. Those guys play very good. I think they're only giving up 120 yards a game running the ball. Weaknesses for Clemson's defense. Mobile quarterbacks. Mobile quarterbacks have given Clemson fits this year. And cornerback play. Cornerback play has not been to the par of Clemson of past as far as it has been this year. So some strengths: the run defense, the front 7, and the safeties. Weaknesses is going to be mobile quarterbacks. Playing against mobile quarterbacks and cornerback play. That mobile quarterback part plays hella into our favor, FSU, as we try to establish our run game and get Jordan Travis to move around and extend some plays with his legs. Some key players on Clemson's defense. We have defensive tackle Rook Ohoro. I hope I said that right, Rook. I don't mean to butcher your name. But Rook has 20 total tackles on the year. He has 1 sack. And he has 1 fumble recovery on the year here. At defensive end, Miles Murphy. Miles Murphy has 16 total tackles, 2.5 sacks on the year. At linebacker, these 2 guys that I'm going to mention here at linebacker are probably the heart and soul of this team, the bread and butter of this defense. They have James Skalsky. He's the leading tackler at 58 total tackles. He has a 1/2 sack, 3 passes defended. Then you have Baylon Spector, who is the second leading tackler at 49 total tackles. He has a 1.5 sacks, pass defended, and an interception. You have cornerback Mario Goodrich. Mario Goodrich is the third leading tackler on this team with 29 tackles and 6 passes defended. And then you have the safeties who are very, very good. You have R.J. Mickens at safety, who has 19 total tackles and 2 total interceptions. And then you have Nolan Turner, who has 27 total tackles and a sack. He also has an interception and a forced fumble. So those are going to be the key players on this Clemson defense to look out for. Like I said, overall, Clemson's defense is one of the best defenses, if not the second best defense. They're definitely top 5 in the nation right now. It's going to be hard for Florida State to move the ball, especially because Clemson's strength is stopping what Florida State's strength is. So we're going strength against strength, run offense against run defense. Should be a great game to watch come Saturday, 3:30 in Death Valley. Let's get into 3 keys for Clemson to win this game against Florida State. Number 1, make FSU beat you through the air. Clemson, you got one of the best rush defenses in the nation. Florida State has one of the best run offenses in the nation. Clemson has to make FSU beat them through the air, make Jordan Travis become a passing player. If Jordan Travis does not have to throw the ball more than 20 times, and I mean that by saying, if Florida State does not have to throw the ball out of necessity, meaning that if they can win this game by just throwing between 13 and 20 passes and not having to throw more than 20 passes, then Clemson is in trouble. I think Clemson needs to make FSU throw the ball with Jordan Travis at least 20 to 30 times this game in order for this defense to be successful. Number 2, Attack FSU's defense downfield. Florida State fans, if we've come to know anything, we know that sometimes that our guys have mental lapses and are they out of position or they just get beat in coverage deep. And we get either pass interference calls, our guys are just making the play one-on-one on our defensive backs. So Clemson has to attack the FSU defense deep down the field. Number 3 in the keys for Clemson to win is use the home field advantage. Use the home field advantage. Florida State has played a few away games this year, but it's not going to be anything like Death Valley that they've seen so far this year. So Clemson needs to use that home field advantage to rattle Florida State, rattle some of these guys, and get them out of their mind state and play with their heads a little bit. So yeah, number 1, make FSU beat you through the air. Number 2, attack FSU defense down the field, and number 3, use the home field to your advantage. Now let's get into 3 keys for an FSU win. Number 1, Florida State fans. This you already know about this, y'all. Y'all already know about this. Number 1, we got to play disciplined football. On the road, probably the toughest road game we're going to have this year outside of the Gators. On the road, we have to play disciplined football. And that's all around the board. That's offensively, that's defensively. No penalties, no mental lapses, no guys out of areas, no guys out of gaps. We got to play great gap defense. We got to be in our lanes. We just have to play disciplined football come Saturday. Number 2, we got to establish the run early. Syracuse had success with their running back running the ball on this defense of Venables. So I do think we can do it, but we got to establish it early. We have to come out and run the ball, pound the rock, show Clemson that we are going to sit here and throw punches with you head up all game long. Number 3, limit the big plays on defense. I talked about this on Clemson's 3 keys and stretching the ball downfield. We got to limit the big plays on defense. We have to make Clemson drive the ball. We don't want to give up 70-yard, 50, 40, 30-yard plays. We want these guys to have to drive the ball meticulously down the field. So yeah, number 1, play disciplined football. Number 2, establish the run early. And number 3, limit big plays on defense. And now for 2 key matchups that I'll be looking forward to. Clemson's front 7 versus FSU's run game. Power versus power, strength versus strength. Tug of war. Who's going to win this matchup? Is Clemson's front 7 going to be able to finally shut down Florida State's run game? Or is FSU's run game going to be able to find some daylight the way Syracuse's run game did against Clemson? And number 2, FSU's defensive backs versus Clemson's wide receivers. Fully healthy and in a perfect universe, Clemson's wide receivers are probably the strongest suit on this offense. FSU's DBs have been the weakest suit on our defense for a while, except for maybe the past few weeks. But we still have given up some chunk plays in the past 3 wins that we've had that we have to fix on the defensive backfield side. So yeah, I'm just curious to see how FSU DBs are able to respond to Clemson's wide receivers and how Clemson wide receivers are able to respond to FSU's DBs. Now, without further ado, y'all, let me give y'all my score prediction. No Nation, we are walking out of Death Valley with a win on Saturday. I got FSU winning 21-20. Go Noles, 4 in a row. We get to 500. And we are on the road back to being what we used to be. I honestly feel that after watching these last 3 weeks and after we beat Clemson, I'm calling it. I'm speaking it into existence. After we beat Clemson, we will be 4 games in a row win streak, and I feel like we will just be on a roll. We may even win out. If we can keep applying pressure and keep our game plan to what it has been the last 3 weeks. With that being said, y'all let me know y'all predictions and scores in the comments. As always, man, please like, share, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell. Y'all already know who I am, No Nation. I'm Rail, and I got a damn sports opinion. Go Noles.